not totally playing the same game, and here we go. We've got some units coming from Chrono Cross. So we've got Surge, Lynx, and Kid. We've got a step up with a premium vision card. Well, you know, a purchasable vision card, a Lapis purchasable vision card. I don't know if it's premium or not, but and then their own step ups. So the talk about it from everybody today has just been like, it's weird that they're all mages. I agree that it's weird that they're all mages.
Yeah,
It's so
I
weird.
know. I mean, when you give a protagonist and call him a mage, I'm actually sitting here thinking about it now before I say this out loud and look like an idiot. But other than potentially 6, I can't recall a single JRPG of note where the main character is a mage.
I can't either, but there's a whole bunch of them out there that I've not played.
Sure.
But I mean, even still, like in their own game, they weren't mages, you know.
Right.
But we digress. So I do think that some of their stuff is pretty cool. So they've got like the Master Mune is a cool two-handed mage spear. There's a nice hat from Lynx. Kid's got a nice dagger. I think you and I were talking recently, like who wants to use a dagger like a kid does.
Yeah, right.
So like, you know, so we got some neat options, but I don't know, even with their upgrades, because they all say they have global upgrades. I don't know how you feel about it. Like from what I know of them in JP, those upgrades are going to have to be massive.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about it earlier, I pulled up all of their kits in JP.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just they're not bad units. They're not good units, but they're not bad units. But I can't even really conceptualize what they would need to have brought to make them viable. I mean, based on what we saw, all they're doing is changing the SLBs some and giving them Grandis abilities, which, like, yeah, all right, but
Numbers,
I mean,
basically. They
yeah,
need numbers.
numbers and utility, and pretty much at this point, for units like this to matter, they have to either be Sylvie or Tsukiko level support, but they're also locked to like 1 or 2 elements.
Yep, that's the classic FFBE real mage problem, is that they are locked. And Jonathan, I see you, my dude. We're going to talk about Nier in just a minute. Yeah, for sure. Saving for me for Nier. By the way, Jonathan, what's your Lapis count up to? Go ahead and throw that up there because we want to know.
678,000.
I think Jonathan at last count was like in the 120s. So you know that's pretty cool. But I want to see what Jonathan's got. So. Yeah, lots of, I mean, 3 units, depending on 150k, holy cow. So there's 3 units, they're all on the same banner, you know, good luck getting them if you're going to pull for these guys. I don't know. I liked the game, but I didn't love it that much, you know.
Right.
Not with Nier coming, or what we assume is Nier, so we'll talk about that in just a moment too. But while we're here, I do need a Jonathan Lapis tracker in Discord. That'd be fantastic. While we're here, so the content that's coming with Chrono Cross is there's 3 things. We've got the Viper Manor, which is where lies the key to the past, which is a mouthful to say. It's a event dungeon King Mog, and if you look at the wiki, you can find out that it's a demon final boss, 50% weak to fire, light, and dark. You can hit it with all the breaks you want, and then you've got some neat items along the way, like tickets, which are always welcome for me, and then the Silver Earring and the Hero's Shield. Silver Earring has HP 1000, attack and magic 30, nullifies stop. And the Hero's Shield has all stats plus 20 and nullifies some instant KOs. Barry, what do you think about these 2 free items?
So I feel like Silver Earring is probably 4 years too late for arena metas.
Yeah.
Simply because everyone used to spam Ayaka with Frozen Hurricane, and that was that, right? And if you didn't have a stop countermeasure, then you could just get slowly ticked away by computer AI. Now, I mean, we don't really see stop as such a big deal as a standalone item, and there's enough ways of dealing with it from units that are implicitly resistant to or immune to stop that it's not such a big deal. The hero shield, though, I mean, for newer players, it's a great opportunity to have a stop immune or a death immune item.
Yeah,
there's really never enough of those.
Never enough, because otherwise, like in terms of like budget gear, you're talking about the Genji shield, I believe, that you can get, and there's a safety bit somewhere that you can pick up, I think.
Yep, that's a Mama Chocobo.
Yeah, so between those are what you've got. So for me, like picking these up just as free things for newer players is, I think, really cool. Anytime something has nullify stop or nullify death, I'm always like, yes, please go get this item. So
I mean, we talk about budget now from an accessibility perspective, but at what point do we have to talk about 5-star STMRs as budget when they just hand UOCs out like candy? And if you're really desperate for stop gear, go get a Blizzard Orb, which is showing up everywhere now.
Yeah. Well, that's
or
death.
Go get
That's
Vermilion
death.
Flag now that they've upgraded that.
Yep.
There's so many.
I agree. Lots of stuff. And then also just going to go ahead and point out here in the, you can buy these abilities. And this is kind of a nod to how like magic and abilities worked in Chrono Cross. I don't know if you remember, but like these are just like equipable magic abilities and they all do different things. And you can buy these from King Mog, which is kind of neat. And I was looking at the wiki. Some of these are bolting strike chains, like 3x bolting strike chains. But
aren't they locked to Chrono Cross units though?
They're locked to Chrono Cross. So like while the idea of there being this many purchasable bolting strike chain items they're all locked to those units. So like
no.
Good luck getting them.
I'm good. And then when I don't pull a single Chrono Cross unit because I'm not going to, they just sit in your inventory. And there's no way of filtering or selling materia. So they're just there forever.
I think you can sell materia, but like I don't know if you'd want to. Like what if you ever got one of these randomly, like because they bring them back or something like that, And
like there's the foam.
Yeah.
But are they going to keep them locked to Chrono Cross? Because I still won't care.
They are locked to Chrono Cross. So if you look at it, says it right there on the bottom of it. It says, where was it? I went too quickly. These abilities are limited to Chrono Cross units only. So.
What a waste.
Yep. Because we do love utility. We do love the utility stuff, There they are, though, in all their sprightly glory. Looking pretty cute. And then the next one we've got is the black-clad demi-human. And it is a beast human enemy. This is the one that you're going to be able to get Lapis Masters Crowns and EX tickets. So 3,000 Lapis incoming. And then you can, it's also weak to fire, light, and dark. And has 170 resistance to everything else. And you can use all the breaks you want on it. So these are usually at least interesting. I like Lapis.
Absolutely, and crowns never hurt. Although at this point, I'm treating them like Final Fantasy game elixirs, where I'll never use them, and then the game will close, and I will still have all of them.
Yeah. So what are you planning on? Are you one of those that like goes in and just like blows this up on turn 1 and like never goes back to it?
Yes.
Yeah. There's definitely like a spread of players. Like some people really love to do that, and some people like to go in and like see what these fights do, and some of them are kind of interesting and most of them are not. So like there's a piece of me that just likes to go in and blow them up on turn 1 and just be done with it.
If I have an attachment to the game that they are coming from, then I enjoy to do that. Like the ones for Final Fantasy X were great, just because I remembered those fights so fondly. This I won't have any memory of, and so I'll just go in, get my Lapis, and put it in my pocket for when Nier comes.
Yeah, for sure. Jonathan, I'm not sure why the Discord command is not working, but I will hook you up with that in just a little bit. And Moose, you said you used your first crowns on Nicole this week. I don't blame you. That strategy seems to have been working for a lot of people. And yeah, I think nickel is probably probably one of the best options for good use of crowns that we've had so far. So soon to be Sylvie, or not Sylvie, soon to be Sakura. I think is going to be another good one.
Maybe.
So the other content that we get is this exploration event, and surprise, surprise, it's weak to fire, light, and dark, just like everything else this event.
Amazing.
And it's a human enemy this time, which is kind of neat. You cannot break its attack and magic, but you can break its defense and spirit. And we get some items. We get a nullify blind, nullify silence and disease, and then just some like attack and magic. Not super fantastic, but they're there.
No, markedly worse than anything else.
Everything else, yeah. Blind is pointless. You can deal with blind so easily. Silence and disease you can deal with super easily, and then the stats are just terrible on the Dragoon Gauntlet. But if you look down at the bottom, you do get a 300% parameter boost to all parameters for these units. And included in that is Golbez, which is going to be a lot of fun for some people. As well as Regina, Elazul, Pearl, Lord of Light. Lilith is on here.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to gripe about it.
Okay, go ahead. Gripe away.
Go back to the King Mog event news.
Yes,
page for
King
me.
Mog, here it comes. Are you looking for the bonus units?
Yes, because in all of the time that I can remember, I've never seen the banner that just passed not be at least 200%.
She's not there.
She's in 150.
That's bonkers.
And that's so ludicrous to me because they'll let Van Harma and Ihana be there, who they know no one pulled for. And like Golbez being there, that's great. But the banner unit that's still on banner when this event is coming out is only at 150.
That's silly.
And that to me is so obscene, and I really hope it's just a typo.
Huge missed opportunity.
Switched Ihana and Van Harma, but I don't think that's what happened.
That should definitely have been switched because they came out first. And the only people that really pulled for Ihana probably didn't go for EX3. They went for getting as many copies of her TMR as possible. They weren't going for high EX levels. They were going for items. Right. Yeah, Lord of Light being the same as Lilith. Yeah, that's really dumb because
Lord of Light.
Everybody has free EX3 Lord of Light. That's silly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I just threw tickets at Cecil and ended up pulling a Van Harma because I guess that is the same thing in this event. But
gosh,
it's just I don't understand that one. That makes no sense to me. That feels like an oversight, and I'm hoping it's just a typo.
Yep. So let's talk vision cards real quick because this is related to the units.
Yes.
Their own vision card. This is from Surge. 110 attack and magic 110 attack and magic, LB damage 25%, physical magic against demons 75%, and magic 300% for all magic attackers. Yeah. I agree. What do we think of the new vision card? We're like 2 seconds away from it. Dragon tier, links, basically the same, a little higher magic, more magic percent, humans 50% instead of 75% demons, and LB damage 50, again, magic attackers.
And no flat stats on this one. So
no flat stats, yeah.
Bigger and worse,
Bigger and worse, Kid makes her entrance, less magic, so 100, more, same 50% magic boost, 100% machines, physical and magical, on breakers only, and LB damage 100% on breakers only.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, what is Lulu's vision card? Because she's a magic breaker, right?
She is. I will tell you in just a second.
And Emperor is too. Which
yes.
is, yeah.
Yes, they are. So let's see. Bavel is 110 magic plus 50% magic, 25% limit burst, and a flat 500 magic, but you have to be a Final Fantasy X unit.
So if you're Lulu, you would rather wear that, for sure.
Absolutely, you would.
For sure.
An Emperor's card.
I think Emperor's just got
don't-
added to the pool, actually, which we're going to talk about that in just a second, too.
I think you're right. Why can't I find it? Oh well, clearly not that important.
Probably not that important. But yeah, not excited about that one. But then hard-hitting Sage. So 125 magic, 500 magic, and 100% true double hand magic. The rolling, what seems to be the rolling amp. Now, here's what it says. It says add, well, hold that thought. And then 100% humans and machines and LB damage, 50% for FFBE units only. So what are your immediate thoughts?
Okay. So my immediate thoughts are this makes no sense. Because it's a Final Fantasy, or it's an FFBE specific card on a collab banner, on a 3 mage collab banner, who could use it but can't use it because they're not FFBE units.
Right.
So they miss the entire third ability. And then you sit and think about what FFBE light mages exist right now. And you can think about neutering Tsukiko if you want to ignore evoke damage. And then you wait and go maybe pause. But otherwise, there's not really any. Right, so this card is already directed at the wrong kinds of units. The stacking amp is potentially interesting if we're going to assume that it's, you know, it goes up to 100% amp, but it's only once every 10 turns, so the uptime is hideous.
Moose says Olive. I do agree that it could
Olive.
be used on Olive. If you were willing to skip the machine killer and the human killer, you could also make an argument for Angela. Because it's going to give flat 500 and some true double hand, and then
But she's not an FFBE unit.
She can use the.
Oh yeah, it's just a machine killer.
Yeah, she would lose the machine killer. So like, and you know, and the LB damage, which is important, but I feel like other options are better for Angela.
So here's the question then, right? If we were talking about Angela or Olive in this case, it's only a single cast. You have to equip it to the unit, and it's for the caster. You can't multicast this ability.
Nope.
So is this one ability worth giving up every other bit of your action economy in a turn for this one ability? I don't think so.
Here's where I'm not sure either, right? So it says 1 use every 10 turns, so you can do it more than once, which is kind of nice. Add light element to physical attack, boost light damage of LB abilities and magic forecaster, and activate vision cards Sacred Sage Arts 2 next turn. But it doesn't say for sure activates Secret Sage Arts 3 the turn after that.
Right.
It doesn't say for sure. It's a huge assumption. We don't know for sure until Thursday. But if it's only going to go, like, if it's going to go 45-60, that's not that great. I mean, we have other options. If it's going to go 45-50, that's even worse. If it's going to go to 100, cool. Because what you could do is you could do like use Magic Boost plus on the next turn, and then use your LB on the third turn. If you happen to be light locked, or you know, it's just there's too many things that are just like it's got to line up perfectly to me to be really, really good. Especially if you're not a huge Chrono Cross fan. You know, with this, you're going to have to equip this and potentially 1 to 2 abilities to get the magic true double hand that you need. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't think I want it. I'm not dying to have it.
I just think this card is confused. And it's a $27,000 assumption. Or dollar, I'm sorry. 27,000 Lapis. Good God.
Oh man, can you imagine?
I don't want to. Don't give them ideas. But it's a huge assumption for something that might be okay. I think if the card or if the ability let you target anybody and was maybe a magic and spirit card, then I think you could kind of make some plays at all of this, right? Because then you just gave a unit like Sylvie a potentially 100% stacking light amp, which she should already have in her kit anyway, but that's a conversation for another time.
Because as soon as a unit comes out with the light amp, you're going to regret having dropped the money.
Yes. and that's exactly where I'm at. It's only a matter of time that Global will have a unit with an AoE 100% light amp. They just will.
Yeah. So there's that. There's some opinion there. I mean, we need to me, we really need to see what's going to come out on Thursday. So there we go. Real quick flyby, we're going to talk about the unit exchange shop, and this is really tiny on the screen, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So we can now use EX coins to get the following units: Lucius, Prompto, Lotus Mage Fina, Onion Knight Refia, Daisy, Gladiolus, Veritas of the Dark, and Machina up to EX3 for just EX coins. Of those, do you have any that you would recommend like new players go after?
New players. No. No.
Okay.
Truly and sincerely, no. I mean, I think if you want Lotus Mage Fina, if you have UOCs, just get those, because then you can at least get more copies of her TMR, right? Lucius is fine, but was bad when he came out, was bad when he got an NVA, didn't get any intrinsics or EX abilities, and is now just still bad.
Yeah. Lotus Mage Fina's hairpin is in fact better than a ribbon MK, so thank you for that.
Yes, it is. Glady is old. Prompto is old. I think Ignis would have been great, but he's not on the list.
He's on the current list. He's on the current list, yeah.
No, Onion Knight Refia is the worst unit of all time. And otherwise, no. I mean, just go get pots or save your EX coins. These have been very disappointing to me since they came out.
Yeah, the best ones have been, for sure, Medina, Squall, and Titus. Without a doubt.
And they have to, this and trust coins and similar exchange materials that are so dated at this point are in desperate need of an overhaul. Because I'm almost capped on trust coins.
Yeah.
I literally can't go much higher than I am right now, and they haven't re-upped that in years at this point.
Nope.
It's where all of our collab prisms went to die.
And not even all of them. There's been a handful that were just never added, for whatever reason.
And so I think Trust Coin Shop, even if they're for a somewhat exorbitant exchange rate, would be a great place to stick old collab shards. So that we
King
don't
Bradley
have to...
shards, yeah, please.
Sure, King Bradley shards, Lara Croft shards. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? Tiana shards.
Not like they... I can't imagine they would be losing money on something like that,
I can't imagine.
I don't know how that would work. I don't know
what the copywriting agreement laws are for stuff like that, but they're such useless currency that at this point, just delete them. Let me sell 100% trust units.
They'll look into it like they said on the live stream. Everyone hold their breath. Yes,
sure.
Please. Please. Okay, so of these, I would say Lotus Mage Fina, if you were just dying to, and Veritas of the Dark for cheesy strats where the boss uses lots of dark damage. Daisy can be a serviceable tank, but she's a trance unit, and I hate that. And outside of that, nothing really. Machina has a decent bolting strike chaining SLB.
Well, he was also the first.
Yeah, he was up there.
He and Kurasame. And
I think I used your Machina in one of my videos. That's right.
Did.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, and then the one that I'm really excited about is the updates to the permanent vision card select options. And so there's those. Go ahead and pop this up on the screen too. The Emperor Reborn is the Final Fantasy II Emperor card. Roundworm is the Rykard card, which is for the jumpers. Grief Stricken Rival is I was just looking at this and I don't think it mattered.
That's Isha's card, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And the name of Isha's Elites is like the Ilmatal Always watching over me is Sylvie. Dynamic demonstration is the Warrior Prayer Rain card. Let Demons Be Slain is Poppy and Leftia Warrior's Prayer card. Happy Families Chizuru, and Wygar's Approved is worthless. So
it's still pretty good flat attack though.
Yeah. If that's what you care about, and LB Phil that's not bad at doing those things, yeah. So I put exclamation points on the ones that I think are best picks for people. What would you say of those?
You know, this will come as a very big surprise to you, I'm sure. But everything about Sylvie is the best thing that's ever happened to this game.
Yep.
And so Sylvie's card is probably the best card in the game for a non-damage dealing unit, because you get elemental resists, you get great spirit, you get great defense. Oh, and then there's the whole morale thing, which is just so broken.
Yeah.
And really deserves to probably be fixed, but I'm glad they haven't.
So what's funny about this to me is that the opinion that was thrown around a lot when Sylvie and Vilk were not included in the ticket fragment situation was that, like, they didn't want people to have access to Sylvie and Vilk's card so easily. And if that's the case, why are they sticking it here, where like anybody can get as infinite copies of these just by pulling premium units?
Right.
So I don't get it. Like, it's just so inconsistent why they would stick this here.
And it's funny you say that, because I have never used a single vision card exchange ticket.
So you could go in probably and get like 12 Sylvie vision cards.
Let me go tell you right now how many I could get, because I suppose oh god, I don't even know where it is.
It's under
permanent exchange.
It's under permanent exchange, yeah. Magic Bun got 14 of them. Oh jeez.
I could get 28.
28 Sylvie vision cards coming your way. You know, it's just like
Sylvie vision cards.
I think I can get 5 right now, because I use mine when I need them, but most of the units that exist, like, I have them, so like I don't really care. But like, you know, for a new player to be able to have 2 or 3 Sylvie vision cards would be phenomenal if you're just starting getting into Clash of Wills, and to not have to have a EX3 Sylvie to do it. I mean, you're missing out, but like, that's really, really good. Yeah. I've used a handful of them. Like, I know I grabbed a Louise vision card at one point because I didn't have one and I needed something with LB damage and magic on it. I've used a smattering of them, but like, you know, at this point I'm just stockpiling them. So either way.
Yeah, I mean, as I see it too, I'm hoping they put, and this will probably never happen, but I'm hoping they put old premium vision cards into there. Just because those typically are always useful.
Yeah. If you're listening, there you go. Please put that stuff in there. All right. Last thing I want to throw out that we're going to talk about here is the monthly bulletin. So let me find that. I know you're excited about it. And I don't know. So I kind of skip over Dark Visions because I think it's boring. But like, there's a Reaper enemy with fire ice weakness that's like low spirits, so you want to bring mages to it, which is like annoying. A stone enemy with earth and dark, again defense low, so you can bring, you know, the good units.
Sylvie, right?
Sylvie, yeah, for sure. Azamar says just Golbez it, and you're probably not wrong.
That's true.
And then the final fight, a beast weak to fire, water, and light. So
I will say, I hope Sinzar is excited about that.
I think
he will finally get to use his Knights of Grandshell.
So what's funny is he didn't mention that this morning on his video.
No, he didn't.
But he did mention, Barros mentioned it on the Global Exclusive podcast video, and he kind of chuckled about it because he was like, his damage is kind of low by now, but you're right, I'm gonna get to do it. So, you know, so I hope he does it just for the meme, if nothing else.
Just for him.
Maybe we all should. Bring your Knights of Grandshell to the final fight, everybody.
There you go.
And then the one that I'm excited about is the Clash of Wills. It's a Machina human, light, wind, and lightning, which, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 3 or 4 months, you probably know what that means.
You know, you might be right.
Yeah.
And let's just get this out there right now.
Go ahead.
Right?
You can have this moment.
In the likely event that we get both A2 and 2B and 2B, and they end up being heavily lightning leaning, because that's what the base form or the original versions kind of always were. In a weird way, I could see A2 getting a much more jacked up version of Carton's Berserk ability, because that's basically what she did.
That's what she
in her
was,
original 5-star unit and in Nier Automata. The lightning meta in Clash of Wills will never die. Because you have Sylvie.
Yep.
Just implicitly Sylvie, right? And Sylvie will forever probably be the bane of their creative existence until they figure out how to try to phase Sylvie out like they're trying to do with Chao right now. But then you give the possibilities of 2B and A2 being ridiculous with Sylvie as a support, and potentially even units like Roberta as a support or Tsukiko like a support. And it's just... It's so dumb. It's so dumb, and it's amazing, and I'm so excited, and it's probably going to be very steep.
Yeah. I love some of the comments here. So Moose says, if they are heavy lightning, there will be no cow unit weak to lightning ever again. That's probably true.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
But even still, we will still run lightning teams because our 100% amps that are AoE from Sylvie will still end up being better. We just have to do a certain number of hits to get the effective hit score.
Yep. Except for, so I actually mentioned this to, I brought this up to Sinzar yesterday. Do you remember when we were talking about the October monthly bulletin real early in the month, and he was mentioning, running an Earth team, even though the boss was not weak to Earth? I asked him about that because I just was jokingly like, I haven't seen your Earth video, what's up? And he said that, unless you Libra the boss, you don't see it, but like it's just heavily resistant to everything except for its own weaknesses now. And so if they're making that change going forward, it's going to be harder to use lightning.
Sure.
Yeah.
In that case, we just hope that 2B and A2, if again that's what we end up getting, are non-elemental. And then Sylvie still just makes this Clash of Wills fun. Yeah,
I hope so. Now, other options, light. So we've got Tsukiko. You could do something very similar to what we're doing this month, potentially. And wind, which I think is an interesting choice, especially if it's a machine.
Chizuru still exists.
Chizuru still exists. You could also do Bulwark. And Sky's got heavy wind support too. So lots of options.
Yes. And I think... Who is it? Doesn't Awakened or NBA Awakened Onion Knight do something with wind? Am I misremembering that?
I think that wind Awakened Onion Knight does something for all 4 of the classic elements. So I think they can do fields, and I think that they can do they do like a modifier boost for all magic attacks. I know they're kind of like Merilith but on steroids.
I'm taking a look at the kit right now just to see.
Although I might be thinking of Ingus. Ingus might be the one that does the fields.
It might be Ingus. You might be right. Let's see. It's not that. Let me check his Brave Shift.
Azamar says Ingus does 4 fields. Okay, there you go.
Okay, there it is then.
Yeah. But I know that I do believe that I do believe that Awakened Onion Knight does the modifier boost thing, which is, still neat. Jonathan, don't worry, man. I will hook you up. I promise.
Yeah. I don't know. So wind will probably be the tertiary element of this ordeal.
Probably.
Just because we don't have as much as we potentially could for that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to break Tiana out.
I do enjoy me some Tiana.
Don't we all? And that was her main damage element, so why not, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy that. That'd be fun. But I mean, I would guess that lightning is probably the primary weakness, but they may troll us and change that, you know?
I mean, you know, they removed an entire element from Sylvie's kit, so that could be light. Light could be the primary element, and maybe we just end up justifying the vision card all of a sudden. Maybe they make 2B's Brave Shift a mage for some ungodly reason, because that would make perfect sense.
A light-locked robot berserk mage.
Sure.
And her berserk does magic berserk instead of attack berserk.
Perfect.
Yep.
Honestly, all I want is 2B to tag chain with her pod. That's pretty much it.
That I'm very hopeful for. You know, I never played any of those games, but I know enough about them to know that the pods like do like support fire and like all the little neat stuff, and like, yeah, I want them to be a tag chainer for sure.
There's also the voice in the back of my head that hopes that they do a 9S support as well, and just make 9S absolutely absurd. Make a Neo Visions equivalent of Pod 153 that gives chaining frames on an accessory, just like the old one did.
Or, I mean, they could just do like a 9S NVA, but I would rather something better, you know?
I mean, same. His kit is so outdated.
Yeah. Even if they made like an STMR version of the pod, you know, like kind of like, you know, NVA Waka gets an STMR now. So it's like they could make it an updated version of it as the STMR, but like, no, don't do that. Make a real version, please.
Yeah.
What's funny, so I have been historically unlucky with Nier, and like I tried so hard just to get a couple copies of Pod back in the day, on both times that their events have run, and like I've just been so unlucky. And I did finally get one Pod on the second raid, but like I couldn't get anything else. It was so bad. So bad. I'm looking forward to this being better, since I'm gonna be going head to head against Elmsmore. So
are you?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
goodness.
I'm gonna get beaten mercilessly. I'm sure. But we've set and agreed upon Lapis limits, so you know. Yeah.
Is he gonna stick to it?
During the battle, yes. Afterwards, he might pull credit card jitsu. You know.
Yeah, of course.
We'll see. Okay. So that kind of concludes all the big stuff that I wanted to hit, and then that takes us into the educational portion, which is talking about, you know, what you can do for killers. And so we talking about, for this week in particular, demons, beasts, and humans. And so as far as like trial rewards that you can grab for, we'll start with beasts just because it's like a pretty small list. Yeah, you've got the Artemis Bow, Beast Killer Plus from Scorn of Amon, which we just did recently. You can also grab Beast Eater Sense from Rafflesia. You can grab Beast Killer Plus from Cerberus. There's lots of good stuff, as well as STMRs from Irvin, Infernal Battle Garb, lots of things. Do you have any of your favorites for Beast Killer? Like your go-to, like I know I have to equip Beast Killer, so what am I going to do?
I mean, it will probably always be Irvin's STMR. It's so good. 100% of anything is amazing. And you get it for 2 different races, which is fantastic. Beast Killer, occasionally, if I feel that I'm really in a pinch, and this is, you know, far from an easily accessible thing that you could just go get. But Avalanche Tifa's vision card is very useful as well.
And it's old enough that you could argue that it's budget at this point.
At this point, yeah. I mean, I've pulled enough of her off banner to have 3 copies. So, you know, there's that. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, Infernal Battle Garb and Valued Memories are definitely the big 2. If you want to craft a ton of Beast Killer pluses, you can do that with the 5 diamond keys that they just gave us.
Yeah.
So that's super, super viable right now. It's a little nearsighted, I think, just because Beast has become a much, I think, accessible killer materia type. Because didn't we? See, you can tell that I didn't have this before. But isn't Flammy's STMR?
Flammy is Reaper, Fairy, and Dragon, I think.
Oh God, see, I don't even know what it's called.
It's called Soaring Legendary Dragon.
That's it.
Let's go. Let's race.
No, Beast, Fairy, Reaper.
Oh, Beast, Fairy, Reaper. Okay, yeah, there you go.
So that was just on banner.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something that people went crazy for, like I did, then because I certainly never had one before, so that's useful enough. Not again necessarily particularly accessible, but it works.
I got one, so now I have two copies. So
Let's see.
Premium Fina hairpin is nice for mages with 50% beast killer. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good one.
Barbaricia's Spirit has beast killer on it for magic beast killer.
Good choices there. Very good choices. Now the beast fight is also, it's a beast human. So we've got things like Cross AIGAION Arm, Mask of Asura, which is a very easy one to grab. And since there's also a demon fight in this week, Mask of Asura is a pretty good one. And then Human Killer from Guy's Belt has become a very, very good option. Weapon Specialist from Furion. One of your favorites from Xeno of the Beta Star, Searing Ember, has Human Killer on it. Lots of good stuff.
Xeno.
Yeah, Xeno's pretty cool.
I will also say, just as a one more thing.
Do it.
Sky's Intrinsic gives her specifically 250% beast killer.
You are, yeah, it makes her very, very
Looking
good
at
for
it
beasts.
right now.
Yep.
So, plenty of options there.
And they also said recently that Intrinsics, well, I think her Intrinsic's going to be added to the guild shop.
Yes,
so you could get more copies of it if you really were dying to run like a full Sky squad.
I think the rationale to that is the distribution period will end eventually. And so if you miss it during the distribution period, then you still need it. It's just going to cost you more than free.
You know what really stinks about that is that if they do that, then anybody who wants to make it has to use a resource. Like if you missed it because you're a new player, anybody who wants to make it has to use a resource that you also have missed out on. Because you're just not going to be able to get the crowns like a new player or a player who is current has, so it's just, that's rough. I digress.
It is, but chances are at that point, those units, even with intrinsics, are going to be pretty dated. So hopefully it won't persuade anybody to get it just for the sake of getting it.
Yeah. Sooner or later, Sky will no longer be the meta damage dealer. So it'll happen eventually. So in addition to human, one of our other biggest categories is demons. And so here we are, Crucifying Coercion, which is the one we're going to go after tonight, hopefully. From Scorn of Asura is 100% physical against demons, which is really, really good as a trial reward. Also, Darksteel Heavy Armor is a nice chest slot. What we're saying is sky's the limit for now. Demon Killer Plus from Belphegor and Demon Eater Sense from Gloomwing, if you can do Gloomwing, is pretty cool. Mask of Asura, like we said before. Force Mysterian from Lunaria, one that has evaded me like the whole time I've been playing, is Lunaria. And then Tidebringer Kaitos, Shin Suryuken, which is cool because you could get him at some point with like the free NV unit selects. You know what I mean? So it's...
We'll also throw out there, just because he is technically but not technically on banner, for anyone who, ended up pulling really hard for Lilith. Full Moon Carton's STMR also does have both human and demon killer on it as a materia.
Very true. Very true. Somebody who has Carton would know that, and as somebody who does not have Carton does not.
That's true.
Yep.
His TMR does as well. It's just only 25%.
Yeah.
As an accessory.
Yep. And Moose, you're absolutely right. I am rocking the newly acquired Esther card because it was today. And so we're definitely, I'm looking at it in all of its glory. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Yep. Yep.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. But we're there. We finally got it. So that's pretty much it. So we've got demons, humans, and beasts for this week, and we're thinking ahead down the road, machines and humans as we go. We'll focus more on machines as we get further along. Is there anything else you want to throw out there as far as getting ready for this week, or any final thoughts about the banner or the vision card or anything that you want to throw out there?
Well, one more thing first of all. Knights of Grandshield's TMR, if you have a large sword or a katana equipped, does give 75% human and demon killer as well.
Ooh, that's a good
so
option.
That's not bad, and those are very common weapon types on the units you would probably want to use. So that's fantastic. As far as everything else goes, I mean, it's a pretty quiet week. It's just a farming week King Mog event. My understanding is this is the last King Mog event of this format. Then they pretty much just turn into weirdly reskinned raids. Or elemental battles almost even, it would seem. This is probably a more accurate representation of them. So I guess take it for what it is. The banner seems implicitly trappy. Maybe the updates matter, probably not. The big takeaway here is go and get 3,000 more Lapis and farm up as much as you feel inclined to do before you go and finish grinding story to get ready for what comes on November 24th.
Yep. Jonathan needs his 153,000 Lapis. So that's what he's going to be doing this week. So
I am hoping to be around there myself.
Oof.
By the time that this all comes.
Yeah, I'll be in the assuming we kind of go at the rate we've been going. I'll be at about 70. So 70,000. So
that's not bad. I mean,
it's not.
Even in the worst case scenario banner, that's enough to pity one unit. All I hope, and this again, we're only gonna theorize until we know. All I really hope for the Nier banner, if nothing else, is that they license it in such a way that the vision cards play music from the games.
Ooh.
That's all I want.
You and I were just talking about video game soundtracks, so yeah, that would be super cool.
If you've never played the game, at least do yourself a favor and listen to some of the soundtrack, because it's a remarkable masterpiece.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you for coming and hanging out with me for 50 minutes while we talk the news and upcoming stuff. I really appreciate all your feedback and your hanging out and your support too, because you resubbed on Saturday. So
yeah, man,
awesome stuff. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, so like I said before, one of the trial rewards you can get right now that's going to help you out with Demon Killer is the Crucifying Coercion from Scorn of Asura Blades Unto Infinity Advanced version. Want to also just point out real quick right here, this Mask of Asura from the easy version is Human Killer and Demon Killer, which is a very nice headpiece. So definitely go pick that up. If you can do this one, you can get the headpiece as well. We're going to go after the hard mode for Blades Unto Infinity, and this is going to get us Crucifying Coercion. The other rewards are good, but you can definitely live without them. We're going to go ahead and get into it. And since she's prominent and prevalent on lots of your friend units and stuff right now, we're going to go ahead and grab a Lilith friend. Most people that I've seen on my friends list have her at EX +2. And we're going to go ahead and grab this one here from Wicked. And we'll just take a quick look at Wicked's gear just to make sure. But Wicked is not maxed out for LB damage, Reaper Killer, Human Killer, or Demon Killer, and we're going to be just fine. Lilith is going to carry this damage for us and tank the fight just fine. Now this is an older trial, so it's like not that hard, but still Lilith's going to be just fine. And we're bringing some of our own units as well. We're going to pretend we don't have a Lilith, and we're just going to deal with some fun ways to deal with this trial and show Lilith off. So we've got Kryla here. Kryla is our passive provoke evader, so she's going to be soaking up all the counters. She's going to attack first every turn, and she's just kind of geared like that. HP, MP, evasion, and counter. Not wearing anything in the shift form. and she's got provoke and evasion. Okay. Sylvie does not matter. Her gear is completely and totally irrelevant. You can gear her with whatever. She's just kind of geared with whatever I had on her last time I was doing something. Zahn is just wearing his own STMR and TMR, and then I just put some evasion and some stuff on him. HP, LB fill, doesn't really matter that much. He's just going to contribute some chaining and some stuff. And he also poisons and disease, or he diseases the boss on turn 1. And then Ling is, you could gear her with whatever too. She does provide some killer buffs and some stuff like that. Otherwise doesn't really do a whole lot. But she does help us out with some buffs. And some evasion too. Some mirage stacks. Lilith's going to do most of the work though. So let's go ahead and get into it. There we go. So we are starting out with we're going to start out with Kryla. Now Kryla is just going to hit the boss 3 times with fire and ice. That's going to set us up for the next turn. But since she's attacking first, she'll be soaking up all the counters. Zahn is going to go ahead and just hit the boss 3 times with lethal virus to poison, to disease the boss. There we go. Notice that she's kind of purple now, so she's diseased. Sylvie is going to give us some offense and then give us elemental vines and petals. Just for some resistances and some other buffs. Kind of cool. Ling is going to triple, and she's going to transcendent, disarming to break the boss, and then you could use whatever you want. I'm going to use purifying dance. Cool. And then Lilith is going to triple. She's going to bar Darkja to just fill LBs and do other stuff. Enchanting Seductress for some buffs. And then Kiss of Betrayal for Mace Imperil. You definitely do not want to use her Provoke because we want Kryla to be provoking. And there we go. Kryla's getting hit with Dispel and counters, and that way Lilith's buffs are not removed. She's going to hit the boss and counter a couple times. Not doing a ton of damage just yet. That's okay. Ling's going to start us off here in the next turn with some buffs. So she's going to go ahead and use Rallying Dance to get us buffed up. And then Assassin for Human Killer. And Medium for Reaper Killer, which is going to help us mainly in the second phase of the fight. There we go. Kryla's going to go ahead and hit with Fire and Ice because that's what the boss told us to do. Hit with Fire and Ice. That's going to seal the really bad counterattack. All right, and now we can pretty much just do whatever. Lilith is going to use Deal with a Demon just to do some damage and kind of put up mitigations and things. Zahn can hit the boss if he wants to. So we'll just go ahead and chain, you know, whatever. And Sylvie is going to put up better mitigations. She's going to put up Burgeoning Defense, Compassionate Night, and Resolve for the party. There we are. Then they'll just chain it up. There we go. Alrighty. This turn, the boss is going to tell us to use Aqua Flash. So use Lightning and Water. Or Electrified Aqua Stance, rather. Lightning and Water. Okay. So we can do that. We'll use Lightning and Water from Kryla. And Zahn will just triple chain Bolting Strike. And Lilith will too. We'll do Betrayal. There we go. Sylvie is going to go ahead and buff us with Demon Killer. So Poach Demon on Lilith. And then use Gravel, or Bolt Egg rather, sorry. And Lightning Blessing. That's going to imperil the boss, give us Lightning, amplify us, give her a big boost to our Demon Killer. And then we're going to try and chain. Now our hope is that we push all the way down and cross the threshold here on this turn. So let's just see what we can do. Okay, not quite. You know, this one maybe not as strong as the ones we were using in stream earlier, which is okay. But we'll just go ahead and, you know, get ourselves ready. We'll just do whatever. We're gonna get our super limit burst here on this turn, which is fine. Okay, so this time we should be fine. We're gonna use Sylvie's Leaping Love, and then we're going to chain the Super Limit Burst with Zahn's Limit Burst for some tag chain or some big chaining. And there we go. Now we're going to use Ling for Reborn Dragon, which is going to give Mirage stacks to everybody. Kryla's just going to guard. There we go. She's tanking it just fine. Now we are fully amplified. Kryla is going to use some debuffs and stuff. So Malicious Curse, Calamity Concoction, Soul Surge. There we go. And then... yeah, we can kind of do whatever. We'll go ahead and use defense for some Mirage stacks. We'll use Demon again. And we'll save I've Got Your Back for later. Go ahead and Lightning Amp too. Just get that ball rolling again. And yeah, we'll just chain it up. This time we will go ahead and use, we'll refresh the Human Killer and the Reaper Killer. Dragon Dancer to fill LB. Pretty good. Okay. And I think we're ready to go ahead and take this boss out. So let's go ahead and use Sylvie to offense. And I've Got Your Back on Lilith. And just hit the boss a little bit. Let's just do it. There we go. Not even optimal. This Lilith was not set up for this. We killed this boss in 6 turns. On stream, we were doing it in 4 turns. It just depends on, you know, the strength of the Lilith. But the important thing is that she can tank and deal most of the damage by herself. So we'll show you the damage breakdown here. And that'll get you Crucifying Coercion. There you go. She did all the damage by herself, basically. Zahn did contribute, you know, a little bit. But she's carrying most of it, which is exactly what we wanted from our tank. Is she the best tank ever? No. Is she the best damage dealer ever? No. But she's still working on some old trials, which is kind of why we wanted her, right? You know, to be able to have some fun with the tank. So that's pretty much it for this week's video. One thing I did want to throw out there, and someone brought this up kind of towards the end of the stream, is if you look at the important notice for maintenance, the game's maintenance will take place on Thursday night rather than Wednesday night. So that means the game's all the game's new stuff will come out on Friday morning, not Thursday morning. So just kind of be prepared for that. Your maintenance will be a day later. Hopefully it's not like super delayed and people get to get in and play when they want to, but this is important to note that it is not happening on Thursday, it's happening on Friday. But until then, be good to each other, take care, go out there and get you some demon killer, some beast killer, some human killer, and get ready for the Chrono Cross, the Chrono Cross event. And I'll be seeing you guys over on Twitch on Friday night instead of Thursday, because that's when the new content comes out. All right, take care. Be good to each other.